You're watching Lulay of all aces. So mga KaLulers, we are into the final part of things to consider when buying properties. But it does not end here. Siyempre, if you still have questions, I am willing to assist you. Although I'm not expert, as I always say, I can only vouch on information that I have gathered, I have understood, and I have experienced. Now, back to the question in part 3, referring to is it worth to buy a property if you are a former Filipino and now holding a foreign passport? Well, to be honest, it is worth buying. However, it always depends on your personal preference. And what does it mean by that? It means that if you want to have a home going back to the Philippines where you were born and you wanted to just have a retirement vacation house or something like that, and because you are holding a foreign passport, there's a consideration for you to go back to the country where you are holding a citizenship with. Now, it's a good opportunity for you to have a property and at the same time a business. Now, it all falls down to the proper people, the purpose of it, and of course, the budget. So, if let's say you are on the 60s and here in the Philippines, if you want to have a loan, a housing loan, the senior age to consider is 60 years old. So if let's say on my age I'm 45, I still have a maximum of 15 years, loanable years for me to avail a loan. So I cannot avail a 25 years because the computation most likely is that it should fall under the 60 because after 60 you are expected now to receive your pension. So it does not fall on you able to pay the loan that you have taken. But there is a strategy for that. If you bought a house and it's considerably like a down payment of, let's say, if the value is $1 million and you gave a down payment of 400,000, you still have the 600,000. That's doable for 15 years to pay if you have or if you are still in at the same as my age, 45 years old. But if you're on the 60, there's a good consideration for you to buy at least more than 50% of the down payment, and the rest will be if you are going to have it for a lease or a rental or an Airbnb or like a bed and breakfast. Then the money that you can produce from there can be used for your monthly mortgage. And it always falls onto the right people that you are planning to work with. Let's say if it's going to be your relative or your friend, always, and it's a golden rule when it comes to business and money, always consider a written document or what we call black and white, because it gives you the opportunity now to claim what's yours, and it gives you protection, especially that you're not staying that long here in the Philippines. So, is it worth it? Yes, it is always worth to have something as long as it falls on your preference. It does not fall onto somebody's advice, somebody's suggestion, because these things are good, but as long as you, as the buyer and a so called investor, is the one that is trying to suit the preferences and everything for your purpose, for your benefit. It does not fall on to because they decided or they suggested or they said that there is a promo. Because always remember, even if it's 1 peso, think about it as much as you can, because it is going to be either a liability or an asset for you. It's fine if it's going to be both, but if it falls on to a liability only, then you just have to be ready with the budget, because it is that important. Although it may sound simple, but it is not that easy, because always consider that your hard-earned money is yours, not theirs. So that's a good lesson for you to all think about. Now, when it comes to going back to the topic, buying properties, always remember the documents that you always have to have in hand for your reference. Now, if you have a copy of a special power of attorney form, and most of the developers, they have their forms with them, it goes on to you have to be of legal age, you have to be a Filipino citizen, because they need somebody who is residing physically here, even if you are a former Filipino holding a foreign passport, because your recent ID is important, and they cannot just take the ID that you have taken 15 years ago or something like that. So you always have to have a nominated special power of attorney who is of legal age, residing here in the Philippines, and in sound mind, and would have a valid identification. So what are these? Commonly, it's the SSS, your PRC, the passport that is not outdated, and your driver's license. And you also have to have a proof of billing address, because they will use that once they send the real property tax dues and other documents. And you have to have the valid email. If you don't have, you should have created an email where they can reach you, because most of the transactions should be given to you same thing as what your nominated SPA is receiving. Your cell phone number should be, or your mobile number or your mobile should always be available. And you should have the copy or the certified copy of the email that your nominated SPA is receiving. Now, where is the best place where you could buy a property? Where is the best place? The best place is always going back to what I have mentioned. The best place is your choice of place. It should not be where it will require you to buy a car. It should not be where it is in the middle of the desert, because how are you going to produce business with that? It should always be with weather. It's not all of these, maybe a couple of ticks from the places that I'm going to mention, and I believe that I have mentioned this on part 1. Near the school, hospital, clinic, malls, couple of malls, restaurants, pharmacy, veterinary clinic if you have a pet, and it should be near the transportation area or the bus stop, or the LRT station, and it should be near to other hotels as well, because if you have friends, especially if you are going to buy a condominium, you cannot always just offer your place, because there are certain rules in the community or in the condominium unit where you are residing, even though you already bought the property yourself. So, what kind of property? So, I made a poll, and everybody showed there that they all wanted to have a house and lot. Now, if you are going to ask me based on the experience, it is better to have, if you are the example that we have, former Filipino that's holding a passport, it's fine to have a land, because you can always have it leased, or you can have it fenced, and then make sure that the measurement is correct with the declared measurement on the deed. And it's always just, if you have that piece of land, you can just buy a ready-made nipa hut if you're thinking of a vacation hut spot, or you can have a small low-cost housing, and then consider having that to be rented. Now, renting is now on a lease basis, that at least you have a contract to be made 6 months or a year, something like that. Unlike before, that there isn't any required minimum stay for a rental place. Now, another thing is, I made a poll from the previous premieres, whether you wanted to have it paid by cash, through bank loan, or through Pag-ibig. Now, based on my experience, because I have another property which I loaned under Pag-ibig fund, because I do not have any other person that can really make their focus on. It's either, I mean, my sister is in Bahrain, my brother is in Saudi Arabia as well. While I was staying in Saudi Arabia, and me and my ex-husband had issues, so it's not easy. My parents are old, and I just could not just let them tackle with those issues themselves, because it's not going to be easy on their part. So I entrusted the loan to Pag-ibig. The reason is, when you loan it to Pag-ibig, Pag-ibig fund will not take your property if there is a problem. Now, the property that I bought is under Philinvest, and Philinvest is a known developer. But the thing is, I cannot go physically always in the area, so it's either I get home, or I stay for my vacation, and that's the only opportunity for me to fix or to attend on that. So with Pag-ibig, it helped me by them assessing the property. So it took me about almost 5 years, I think, before I start paying under Pag-ibig. There were issues with the registration number that is not the same as in the municipality when Pag-ibig wanted to take over. There is an issue with the address, that it is the same area and the place that I have seen when I did the sighting or the site viewing, but the address that does not fall on the same area. So it is really, really important that somebody rechecks with you. And the interest that I paid with Pag-ibig Fund, I believe is worth it, because it is the last thing that I should be dealing with. And I've paid for that property, and it's been more than a year that I have been waiting for the title of the property, and until now, it's taking long. Plus, considering the pandemic, it is taking long for the processing of the documents, and it's now in Bureau of Internal Revenue. They were asking documents, so my part is done. It is now between Bureau of Internal Revenue and the developer, Fininvest. So all I have to do now is to kill myself and wait. Although, well, at least I have the original title, but it is of course important if what you have paid, and supposed to be 10 years, and I paid it for 8 years. So considering that, I believe that I deserve a quick process. Now, since we are in the topic of pag-ibig, you have to identify or understand now the interests are not the same. So I chose 10 years as my safe blanket, because what they do is, if you chose 25 years, the interest will go to 25 years, and if you are going to pay in advance, they will not give any discount or lessen the interest. However, if let's say you took 10 years and you couldn't pay within 10 years, they will just add the remaining, so a recomputation will be done. So it means that you have not taken in advance the interest. If I'm explaining it well, believe me, even me, but I do get it. That's the thing with that. So it is a good consideration that you understand. And with a bank loan, I didn't take the bank loan because with the bank loan, I have to have a representative that will at least give the checks, or at that time, it was not possible for me to just follow the hectic payment schedule for the bank, because I have other responsibilities to do and I have other responsibilities to pay. So it wasn't easy for me. So for my situation at that time, it was easier for me to go with pag-ibig. And with that application, they have checked everything, the documents and everything for me. Unlike with the bank loan, it's I feel like it's more of hectic for me because I'm supporting other people in my family at that time, so I couldn't afford to pay that huge amount of money. So those were the do's, the pros and cons, and whether it would be on a cash basis. I'm sorry, I didn't tackle with the cash. So with the cash, there is a good consideration that you may have a discount. So I am not sure if you are a former Filipino but with a foreign passport, because I believe that it only applies to a dual passport or dual citizen holder, because you being a Filipino is still active. Unlike with you having a foreign passport, you are now considered to be a foreigner, although you have your former details and certificates here in the Philippines. I believe that they will deal with you as a foreigner when it comes to rates. So with DMCI, they have provided a discount scheme. So if you're a Filipino, you can have 10% discount. And if you're a foreigner, you will have 7% discount from the total amount of the property. Now, we will be jumping off to the real property tax. The real property tax will be based on the real property tax times the declared. So if you live in the province, you'll have 1%, and if you are in the city, it is 2%. Now, bear in mind that the price of the property that you paid may not, and it is always not, the amount declared on the municipality for the real property tax. So most of the time it'll be lesser because that's how it's computed. I don't know, but that's how it is. For how many properties that I have seen, yes, that's how it is. So I just hope, and this sums up everything, and I just hope that it enlightened a bit on what's been going on to your minds. And I know I'm not an expert, but these are the things that are based on my experience and on what I've understood. If you have questions and clarifications, I would be delighted to receive them on the comment box below. Because, KaLulers, I really wanted to give you all a smooth transaction when purchasing that property. And for foreigners, of course, you are all welcome to buy your properties here in the Philippines because it's more fun in the Philippines. And for all of us here, this sums up my series of vlogs for when buying properties. And we will be completing now our vloggerary for the month of February for the daily vlogs. So guys, thank you for watching. Life is so short and life is for living, because on Lulay of all aces, you learn nonsense, useful things that you can apply on your daily lives. Thank you for watching, and see you on the coming days for vloggerary.